on 10 members of the Muslim Brotherhood. They were found guilty of violence against security officers. This was way back in the year 2015. This is as the country, that is Egypt, continues its heavy-handed crackdown on the opposition group. Mohammed Javid, Salaam alaikum, welcome to the program.
Wa alaikum assalam, Julie. Thank you for having me.
Nice to have you here. Thank you for your valuable time. And these sentences are pretty harsh, are they not? And I should hope that they're going to be appealed. And what are the chances of it even perhaps going to appeal?
Well, yes, they are harsh, and as for chances of appeal, first they have to go through Egypt's Grand Mufti, which is a formality in these death sentences. The chances of it being appealed or of the Mufti refusing it many people see as quite low, to be honest, because obviously the Sisi government has a tight hold on all of the judicial system and the political system, so the chances are quite low. But we'll see how it goes. The trial finishes in around June, so we'll have to see in the coming months.
Were they in fact the perpetrators of these crimes, or are these trumped up charges against these members of the Muslim Brotherhood? And what does it say for the opposition party or the other members of the Muslim Brotherhood? Do you think that they now need to tread very carefully, because they could be very soft targets, could they not?
Well, the thing about the Egyptian judicial system and the media is that it's not very transparent. So we don't even know their names. Even the names of the people who were arrested and who are sentenced to death have not been revealed yet in the media, at least to English media. It hasn't been revealed. So we don't know who they are. We can't check their background. We can't check their history. So we can't verify their crimes or if they've been involved in it. But what you often find is that members of the Muslim Brotherhood or groups affiliated with it, or even any opposition activists or dissidents who are accused of being Muslim Brotherhoods, they are accused of being affiliated with terrorists. The Muslim Brotherhood, despite its flaws, despite whatever disagreements anyone has with it, its members cannot all be affiliated with terrorists. But we see that happening by the Egyptian government.
Okay, so what is the feeling like on the ground as far as the Egyptian people are concerned? Or is there a lot of fear about perhaps saying the wrong thing to the wrong people, perhaps, spies being on the ground all of the time and just waiting to pounce on people who possibly are sympathetic towards the Muslim Brotherhood? And do they then have much standing in the Egyptian community, seeing that the government then goes at them in such a harsh manner? It sounds like a very, very autocratic government, and it seems as if they won't entertain any form of opposition whatsoever.
Yes, well, Egypt, like many of the Arab states, is autocratic in its governance system and in its in how it applies justice, you could say. So people there, and as in other Arab countries, like I said, they are scared to voice their opinions. And there are journalists and there are activists and there are human rights advocates who do try to express their opinions. But yes, there is a fear amongst them that they could be targeted. They could be next in line. And we know that as of now, there are currently an estimated 60,000 political prisoners. 60,000. So people, anyone who raises their voice or has an opposing opinion can, or fears that they can be next. And we saw also those who are abroad even are not safe from this. So there was an Egyptian activist who they say is affiliated with the Muslim Brotherhood, a dissident. His plane from Khartoum to Istanbul was stopped on the way to Egypt. And then at Al-Aqsa airport, he was arrested and he's in detention currently. And he hasn't been heard of since. So even those who are abroad and who are traveling, they are in fear as well.
What comes to mind, of course, is Jamal Khashoggi and his fate, unfortunately, by the Saudi Arabians. That also then says that you can't do, as a journalist, uh, there's no such thing as objective journalism in that part of the world, sadly.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. As journalists, we try to be objective. We try to take both sides of the story or all sides of the story. But like you said, under some governments and even in some newsrooms themselves, you can't be objective, or you can try and be objective, but you cannot be as objective as you can against a certain group or government. So yes, in Egypt, it's very hard to be objective, unfortunately.
Okay, you're a journalist. Why your interest in this story? And, obviously it's going to be very difficult to gather information. We don't even know who these 10 members are. They could be journalists, they could be ordinary citizens, they could be activists. We don't know. So how do you then continue following the story and try to give it as accurate a picture as you possibly can?
Well, as for people who aren't revealed, as for their identities aren't revealed, we can try checking the Arabic media. That's what we do sometimes. We check the Arabic media, the Egyptian sources, other Arabic sources. Some journalists on a high scale, they do investigations where they can try and find out who they are through inside sources in the government, etc. And also, you check through investigations, or you check through Arabic media or the media of that country. Sometimes they are revealed, but more often it's the leaders of the Brotherhood or other groups that are revealed. So the lower members, often they're not revealed, but the leaders and the leadership, they are often known more and they're revealed. So it's very difficult, but like I said, through investigations and through Arabic media, you can sometimes find out who they are. You can find out their identities.
Okay, you did indicate that the appeal will go to the Grand Mufti, but you don't hold out much hope that anything would come of it. What about international pressure, to try and reprieve these people of those death sentences? Do you think that might work? Or is their fate possibly sealed?
Well, when it comes to saving someone from a death sentence or from imprisonment, even, it really depends a lot of the time on their citizenship. Are they just Egyptian citizens, or are they other nationals as well? Are they British nationals or any other nationals? If they are, then there might be hope through the British consulate or others or other national consulates or embassies. But if they're Egyptian nationals, it's very difficult for them to be saved from that. What we have seen over the past few months or years is that Egyptian nationals who are convicted and who are on the verge of a death sentence or long imprisonment, they're forced to actually give up their Egyptian citizenship. So I'm not sure if they're dual citizens or just Egyptian citizens, but they're forced to actually give up their citizenship to be released. And that's a condition that they have to do. So it's very difficult for Egyptian citizens to get out of that unless they give up their citizenship.
Release and go to where? Give up their citizenship and go to where? And are other countries then willing to take them in as asylum seekers or political activists?
There are a few cases. I haven't read deeply into like where they went, etc. But as far as you know, if they're dual nationals, then they already have bases in different countries, European countries especially. So it depends on the person.
Okay, we'll wait and watch and follow the story as closely as we can. Undoubtedly, we will talk with you again sometime soon. Shukran indeed for your time.
Thank you. Shukran. Thanks.
That was Mohammed Javid. He's a journalist at Middle Eastern Monitor, talking to us about the 10 Egyptian members of the Muslim Brotherhood who have had a death sentence passed on them. They are going to appeal to the Grand Mufti of Egypt. We'll see what comes off that. 27 after 9. News and views right here on Salam Media.